Welcome to the Cumberland West Layout Tour as of January 2017. The last video tour was shot in January 2011. There is new scenery on the layout, but the bulk of the changes and additions have been in the hardware, electronics, engine decoders, NCE, LocoNet, and LCC all working together. We start with a view of the Narrows from the Evans Tower. Here the Narrows are now almost complete, including the river and the face rock and everything that's supposed to be on top of that particular hill. You can see at the west end of the Narrows the set of bridges that are still part of today. Here we're looking at the platform. You notice that the difference is that the system on the left has now 3 monitors. The one on the right has 2 monitors. Give us, for staging, a much broader view of the various panels that we used for bringing trains in and out. As we come down onto the layout floor, this is the Brunswick entrance from the staging, and here we see the west end of the tunnel, which includes the state line for the Pennsylvania and Georges Creek branch, plus a quarry that also used to be there. Here we see the new hardware. We are running LCC, as you notice. All of the turnouts are controlled now by LCC using our circuits hardware. This particular one is the repeater, which is basically a hub where the LCC network then goes out to the various branches under the layout. This one in particular, we see Kaiser, which is on the far right from here, far right wall. As we continue, much of the Elkins on the Western Maryland, as we see here, hasn't changed much. The only new thing is the continuation of the Elkins station. As we continue the tour, on the left side we will see the new additions. Here we actually, on the right side, we see MY Tower and the new bridge that is there with the signals. On the right side here we see the new mine that was added to Elkins using the follower kits. Then, if you remember in the previous video, there was a kit in the box. Now it has been put together. Of course, it's not finished, as you can see. And then we get to Terra Alta on the B&O. All of this is new, including the Terra Alta downtown buildings and station. That's actually a good replica of the original Terra Alta station, which includes also part of the Y. We just ended there with a team track. There's also a siding, which in this case would be is a spur to the station. As we go around, all of the scenery under or over the bench work has been done, and we get to Oakland. That hasn't changed much, and also on the west end of Evans and Normand, the shops and the Ridgely engine house hasn't been touched since the last video, so this part hasn't really changed at all. The turntable is being worked on, but is very slow going with that. Here we see Oakland, and then we get to Thomas on the Western Maryland. Again, this is a good replica of the Thomas station, and here we see the Fairfax Mine and a branch that goes up here. This is 17 miles. That hasn't changed much. As we swing around, we still see part of the shops, and then Virginia Street on the B&O and Ridgely on the lower level on the Western Maryland. The only difference here was an additional track that was added to the B&O, the Virginia Street yard, where all those passenger cars are. That adds up to the switching capability. Here we see Mesteller and Bond, the end of Bond, or I should say the end of 17 miles up Bond. Here the Western Maryland goes under the B&O. It's a famous bridge. At the moment the name escapes me. We get into Virginia Junction Yard with the interchange between the B&O and the Western Maryland here. Here we see the Cumberland station and the Queens station in the background. Nothing much has changed here, and so it still needs a lot of work. There were a couple of buildings that were done. The Reinhardt furniture is one of them, and some of there's new cars and other things. But other than that, there's not much done here, other than the Wills Creek, which is not in place. As you can see, all of this is new. Also, as we get closer to to Viaduct Junction, this also has been all done, including the cement plant with its spur. As you can see in the background, also we have the Silver Bridge, which in reality it's a car bridge, but we actually have a train going over it. And also the Buchanan lumber industry. Again, this is part of the West Cumberland. The new bridges are here, and forget the two streets that these are from, but they are from the real streets. Here we see the new monitor for Viaduct. It's a bigger touchscreen monitor. And above it, we have Homesteader Curve. We get to around Homestead, and we come to Frostburg. Consolidated Mine is on the right, and then the Coke delivery, and on the B&O that was Crescent with Paca Street. Here is Luke. Nothing has changed here. It's exactly as it was. This was one of the first scenes that were finished. Not finished, but basically done. Here we got a Piedmont. We see also here a new monitor, bigger monitor for Piedmont and Luke. And also in the background we have Westernport out there for the Western Maryland. A few things have changed here, but with the addition of trees and stuff. On this side, at Crescent, we have the new power station with the power distribution. And above, you'll notice that now there is a town, which is Frostburg. And the station, I'm not sure if it was there already in 2011. Here is Frostburg, and that's the main street of Frostburg, which actually does curve in the real life, and it is on a grade. Down on the B&O, nothing much has changed, and Kaiser hasn't changed much at all since the previous video. By the way, anything that is a backdrop that you see, it's hand painted by an artist. His name is Mike Katowski, and if you look at from a distance, from across the room, you will get kind of a 3D effect with all the layers of sceneries and hills all the way up to the backdrop. It's pretty amazing what he's done. This is Mackenzie. That bridge that you see there is new with the Mackenzie. This hasn't changed from the monitor. Hasn't changed, but that's because we will put an actual panel there with the real hardware. There is some scenery that was done here in the front for Mackenzie, and then we see on the Western Maryland the deep shaft mine, and then part of Frostburg, which, by the way, all those buildings are in scale. Kind of gives you a fourth perspective of distance. What we see here instead is the B&O dispatcher. I'm not sure if this was shown in the previous video. As you can see here, we have a dual monitor with the whole layout and all the paperwork that the B&O dispatcher needs. And what you see here is the pedal that allows the dispatcher to communicate with the towers. Through the phone, he would be able to call up each tower and then using the pedal in order to communicate with the towers via phone. Thank you for watching this 2017 tour of the Cumberland West layout.